Greetings and good afternoon from Hopalong Hollow. This is Jerry, and I am sitting on my favorite part, my favorite end of the wraparound porch that we have on this old house. This really is my favorite section because it's connected to the potager and I'm close to the greenhouse, and it's just a really cozy spot. But this time of year, when summer's just about through and gardening season is just about over for us, and frankly, I get a little bit grateful at that time of the year because I am tired of gardening. I'm tired of the heat. I'm tired of pulling weeds. I'm tired of all the struggles that go along with gardening. As much as I love it and as much as joy it brings me, it's also gets to be a bit of a hassle after a while. And you really need a break. And when I take my break at early September, that's when I start to concentrate on just cleaning things up. And that's what I've been doing in this little section of the porch. I've been rearranging the furniture, so to speak, and making it more of a cozy, clean place to hang out. I love moving things around. And one thing I move around a lot is the furniture. And so in this case, on this little porch, this little section of the porch, which is probably about 8 foot deep, 12 foot long, not very much, just a small space on the porch, I have moved around the furniture once again to make it a little more cozy and visitor friendly. So I had the beehives sitting here on this edge, and the beehives are now moved up against the wall to be used basically as tables for the time being. And they can't go into the garden until spring anyway. I mean, they can't go out into the yard because I don't have any bees until then. And in the meantime, I want to keep them from getting really worked over by the weather. So they're just tucked against the wall here now. They're being very useful for me and holding a lot of things that I might need over here. Another thing I do, I really scrub the floors, I scrub the walls, I just get all the little cobwebs and the dust and the dirt brought in by the animals. The animals spend a lot of time traipsing across the porch. We have the cats, we have the dogs, we have chickens and ducks. Even the ducks come up here sometimes and do their bit. And you may know what that bit might be. And peacocks too. Everybody loves the porch. I try to keep this section of the porch away from them. I try to block it off a little so they won't come in here, just so that I can keep it to myself, my own personal spot, without anybody interrupting me, except for an occasional cat or a dog. But I love to just move things around, rearrange things, put up little vignettes, and do all sorts of basically porch cleaning. One thing I do every fall is I really scrub the porch, and then I put weatherproofing down on it every year. Actually, I do that twice a year. Once in the spring and once in the fall. And it really helps because this does get a lot of wear, a lot of mud, a lot of dirt, and often on the edges, a lot of rain. So something you might want to do, take a little spot in your yard, on your porch, somewhere in your house, maybe out on your patio or your courtyard, and just rearrange things and turn it into like a little room. And that's what this is. It's a little room. I've got books up there in the shelf I can look at. I've got a lot of work here that I can do. I've got my sketchbooks, and I've got a beautiful view out into the garden, which is still growing pretty nicely. I've got a lot of everlasting plants on the rise. So it's still very nice. And now at this time of year, things are cooling down and you can actually sit on the porch and have a nice, pleasant time. While I was cleaning off this glass right here, I noticed a couple of my old sketchbooks. So I thought I'd take a look at these. So I pulled out these little notebooks to see what was inside, and I was pleasantly surprised at a lot of old plans and ideas that I had kept over the years. Plans concerning shows, artwork, but most of all, it seems, landscaping plans, garden plans, fencing plans. Actually did make these fences. We built them all over the place. A lot of these gardens we've actually put in. Some plans that just went haywire and never got accomplished. This was going to be a turkey shelter based on the design of a lich gate. Well, we did have 2 turkeys, but they were just terrible guys, just really rotten chaps. In fact, every time we came out of the house, they would attack us. We were very happy when they ran away into the woods with the wild turkeys. So we never did build that little turkey shelter. And they probably wouldn't have used it anyway because they were stubborn. But I've got all these little rough sketches in here, cost estimates, yeah, all sorts of things, all sorts of plans. And this was going to be, what was that going to be? I think that was going to be a chicken house. Crazy chicken house. I think these translated more into my books than anything else. And a lot of layout, garden layouts. It's so fun to have these notebooks at hand. Forgive my fingernails, I just went out and pulled a bunch of weeds. Here is something I wanted to do with the house. Add this addition to the house. That's something we never got around to. And I don't think we need our house to be any bigger anyway at this point. But I don't know how old. I don't know how long these ideas have been in here. What else? Oh yeah, here. There's our house again with all my plans that I was going to do to make the house more cottagey and charming. Okay, here is another one. This was going to be my studio shop. I wanted to have a studio here. I wanted to do this so badly for so many years. In fact, when I was in high school, all I wanted was to have my own shop and sell my artwork through a shop. Well, as it turned out, we never had a shop. Instead, we went out, did art shows all over the country, did art shows, craft shows, book fairs, all sorts of things, and I did that for 30 years. It wasn't until a few years ago that we just pretty much cut down on our shows. In fact, we've cut our shows completely off, and we don't even do them anymore. Now it's time for me to start thinking about actually having a shop again, and maybe just opening it by appointment. So by keeping these old sketchbooks and idea books, it's really fun to look back and see, what did we actually do? What did we accomplish? Did we do any of it? Is it something that could still be done? Well, this was a grand idea. There's my potting shed. I don't know what that was. That's got a roof on it, so maybe that was the shop. This was going to be a shade garden, or really a secret garden. And then there was going to be a walkway lined with little yew or fruit trees, and this was going to be an enclosed potager garden or a vegetable garden. And that is something that we never did any of this. We did this part, but we never did any of this part. The thing is, it's just fun to have sketches and drawings of ideas and things that you imagine and goals that you might have. That's how things happen. You get an idea, your imagination gets to work, you set it down on paper, and sometimes, oftentimes, you can actually fulfill that goal. And in many cases, we have actually, yeah. Here is something we did do. We did build the potting shed. This is it from the back. I did put up a stone wall behind it, completely shade. Here we have daylilies and hostas, and we do. But here we have the arbor that we built from cedar logs that we went into the wood and we got. Now these are starting to rot out. In fact, I can show it to you from here, because there you can see the potting shed, the herbarium, and right next to it you might be able to make out the arbor structure, which is actually, was supposed to be covered in grapes, but it's covered in wild roses, and it's quite beautiful in the spring. But it's starting to fall over. It's starting to rot. It's starting to lean like the Tower of Pizza, and it's time to do something different with it. So as I look at this, and I think ideas start with your imagination, then you put that idea down on paper as best you can, and eventually these ideas can come to fruition. So I'm looking at this and thinking, how could this section right here, which is quite sizable actually, it's about 15 foot by 25 feet, and it could be made bigger. How could that be turned into a little shop, possibly? Well, we have some great, and we have some really great, I think I'm sitting in the shade here, sorry about that. We have some great telephone poles, about 10 to 12 foot tall, that were rescued when we redid the bridge. They would make a great starting point to hold this structure up again and begin to make maybe some walls or something. So I am probably going to start planning to do something like that. What else is in here? Just a lot of little notes. Here it is from the front. It's actually a lot longer than this. I can certainly see transforming this section right here into an actual building, with the roof going the opposite direction of this one, and actually doing something really clever with that. I think that would be fun. So we're going to do a little project today, which is going to require that you get some silver plate spoons. You can get these pretty cheaply. I got these for $1 a piece at the antique store. You will need some letter punch, 3mm 1/8 inch letter punch. You're going to need a sledgehammer, a regular hammer, and a very hard surface to work on, and an old rag, perhaps, because we are going to make some plant markers. These are like, I made these back in 2011. I did a blog post on these. I'll link it below so you can really see. It was actually a lot of fun to do. And these are pretty old. I made these quite some time ago. And these are great gifts for the garden. This is kind of a nice little autumn project. You won't be needing these until next spring, most likely, unless you are going to be putting some herbs in your kitchen window, perhaps. These are great little herb markers for your herbal pots. Take a nice flat stone, and we're going to put the spoon on it, face down like this, and we're going to cover that with a rag, because we don't really want to destroy the spoon. Anchor it with your finger and smash it flat with your sledgehammer. You'll probably want to flip it over and smash it on both sides until you've got a fairly flat spoon. It's not too good to have this bit right here, and you'll see why when we try to emboss this. Two different sizes here of letter punches, and I believe we bought these many years ago off Amazon. They shouldn't be too difficult to find. I'm going to be using the small letters, and I'm going to be writing spearmint on here. So I'm going to start up here with spear, going around the top. Now you need to hold it really firmly and whack it pretty hard, no more than 3 times. And the reason I say that is because if you start banging it really hard, you might shift your engraver around and you'll end up with vibrating letters and you won't be able to read it at all. So these aren't going to be perfect by any means, but that sort of adds to the charm of it. There. in. Now, in order to make the letters more visible, take a marker, black marker, and fill in each letter and wipe it off. Wipe it off right away. So I'm going to do an O. And you can see that it darkens it. Take it and do your letters, fill your letters in. Now for the best part of the video, I want you to meet our new family member. This is Viola. She's a new friend and sister for Godfrey, who lost his very best friend about 4 months ago. We waited this long to get a new puppy. We were looking for somebody small, somebody more medium-sized, but we ended up getting a female Great Pyrenees. Great Pyrenees after all. They say she was the runt of the litter. I'm not sure about that. She's 9 weeks old and she's pretty heavy. But being a female, she'll be a little bit smaller. So that's a good thing. I just wanted a smaller dog this time around. But I need somebody who's not going to chase chickens and ducks and peacocks all around the yard. Of course, yesterday she had a run-in with the rooster. I don't think she'll be chasing him anywhere real soon. So for now, she's just a little youngster, aren't you, sweetheart? And she loves the rain. Oh my gosh, I'm a puppy mother again. Well, from Hopalong Hollow, this is Jerry, and we will see you again next week. Bye-bye. Here's Godfrey. Godfrey's been very lonely since Gabriel passed away. Learn your lesson. Go after that chicken and you'll be in trouble. See? That's right. That's how you learn. That's how you learn. Sorry, honey, but it's a hard lesson, but you don't chase chickens, okay?